Hello and welcome to Assemblies of the World with me, Anna Isabel, and I am joined by John Gilbert. Hello, John.
Hello, Anna.
I didn't introduce you because I thought it would be best for you to introduce yourself. So, aside from your name, who are you?
Okay, well, I'm the idiot that actually started the Community Assemblies going, but I wasn't the first person to think about it. And we have to look at Hamish Miller, who also lives down here in Cornwall. And he had the idea of parallel communities. And he had a near-death experience. I got mine after having had a heart attack. And started to experience the same sort of, people call them downloads now, but visions. And I think we must have come up with the same idea. Although I knew Hamish, I only knew him as somebody who did a lot of dowsing, and didn't know about the parallel communities that he was espousing. And it was quite a shock after I pretty much got it all sorted out to find that Hamish had been on the same track all along. But by then, of course, he'd left this plane and gone somewhere else. But yeah, so I can't claim that I actually started it. Somebody else actually got there before me. So it was back in 2019 that this sort of happened. Before we had COVID, and then we had at early 2020. I think my one of the three people that started it with me tells me that it was early May when we actually formed the first community assembly. That was in Camborne, in Cornwall. And for those of you who can't spell the same as me, it's Camborne, or Camborne. But it was the start of something happening, and we were only going to do it in Camborne to start with. And then it became Camborne, and then it became Troon, and then we were looking at Redruth, which is next door, and it sort of spread out. And all in all, we got to a point we hit 27 communities in Cornwall. But by that time, it had already spread out to Devon and Somerset and so on. It was working its way up through. The Irish came in pretty strong as well. The problem we had in Ireland was they all went for money. So they followed the money. They were all doing these liens and things like this, and it broke apart the communities because everybody was chasing everybody else. And in the end, literally the community assemblies dissolved in Ireland. The same sort of thing happened in Scotland. We were broken apart. We were infiltrated in Scotland. We do still have community assemblies in Scotland, and it is starting to pick up again now. Wales never ever got there. I don't know what it is with Wales. And I would have said that the Welsh were a pretty forward-thinking lot. You know, I would have to say that their singing is not great. And I'm going to get hammered for that, aren't I?
I should try to go.
we have competitions, and they know it as well. We have competitions no end between Cornish choirs and Welsh choirs. So there's a lot there. But what we say is they've got no bass section, so they haven't really got a full choir, have they? Yeah, it's sort of spread around. We ended up with 147 communities assemblies, and we were going great guns. And then we got hit by everything. Papers were calling us government-run agencies. They were saying that we were bad guys all over the place. We had one paper who actually set up a community assembly website, told people all about us, and then directed them to this website. We're charging people £10 a time for joining. We've never charged anybody for joining it. That website is actually still up there, but it is pretty much useless now. We had people coming around to assembly meetings and breaking up, mobs coming in, breaking up the assemblies. We had organizations trying to come around and talk people into leaving us and going over to them. It was an absolute mess for about 12 months. It was a real mess. And eventually we sort of got it under control again. And now we're back up to 50, at the moment, 50-ish, because it could be that a few more have actually formed in the last 24 hours, because I was told that some of them were. So we're getting there again now, but it's taken a long time. And the only thing that we can all say is that if you're over the target area, you're going to get a lot of flack. And we got a terrific amount of flack. But they don't seem to be there now.
No, I think it possibly has something to do with the timing, where things were very new. But the idea of creating parallel societies seems to have gripped the imagination of many people, and there are many groups who are taking different approaches to creating parallel societies. And you could perhaps say in the mildest form, parallel economies being set up, yeah, with networks of people who are of a like mind, and who want to create a different system to the one in which everyone finds themselves, to support each other. So we have the Together Declaration, who have created their own network to create a parallel economy. In America, there's GAB creating a parallel economy. So it's businesses, so that you could do business with people who are not feeding a system that is currently not serving us at all well, to put it mildly. So that's an idea that's out there, and I think people are understanding more about the need to find a way out of the mess and corruption that we find ourselves in. So, John, maybe it would be good at this point to spell out what the community assemblies aim to do.
The community assemblies are actually a connection device. We don't want people to do anything other than what they want to do, and to take what we've learned from other communities and pass that on. So we're passing on information all over the place. But the one thing we don't want to do is to take over an assembly and say, right, you're now a community assembly, you do things our ways. We don't do that. We take what we've got and what's already there, and look at how they operate and say, can we actually, hold on a minute, I've got to sit on my hands a minute. I keep getting told off because my hands will start doing this any second now. We don't want to take over anything or stifle any growth, because if we do that, then we could lose a lot. You know, saying, right, well, we want you to do things our way, not somebody else's. So we don't have a particular aim other than to join everybody together. And that's why we've got New Zealand in, we've got Australia in, we've got America in. We've got a lot of people in Canada that are trying to set it up as well, but it's a communications device so that we can all share information. At the same time, it has to be proactive. We cannot sit around listening to people who are saying, right, you don't need to do anything. I think one of the phrases was, you know, just sit back and eat your popcorn. That's not what we can do. We have to get out there and we have to do something, because frequencies, people's frequencies, their spiritual frequencies, all depend on whether or not they're actually doing something for humanity.
So we've got a means by which assemblies can learn from each other.
Mhm.
And that's your role.
Yeah.
People who are working with you is a joining up exercise, so to speak, where people can connect. You're helping people to connect. But the assemblies themselves, each individual assembly, tell us how each individual assembly works.
It works, right. You can register an assembly with 3 people. It's mainly because we need 3 people, at a minimum 3 people to be able to talk to it. If 2 people go away on a holiday, we can't talk to that assembly. No, we can't. We can't do that. That's the first thing. Is we've got what we call facilitators, and really they're messengers. Anything they learn through their assembly, or anything that they try and do, they can pass on to us. We then pass it to everybody else, unless it's a really bad idea, in which case we probably hold on to it just for a while. Once you've got your 3 facilitators, then the assemblies themselves need to figure their priorities. Now, usually, if they've got a community already, they've already sorted their priorities out. And what we want to do then is to learn what their priorities are, so that we can compare it with other people's. The other thing that they need to do is, one assembly on its own is not a lot of good. I'm outside my front door here, literally within walking distance. I've got 5 community assemblies that I can walk to. It might take me a couple of hours sometimes, but I can get there. We have our meetings all together. So all 5 of those community assemblies, and now we've got some more coming in as well from outside the area. And we're talking about having almost a Cornish meeting once a month. So it's making this thing spread. It's getting all the communities working together, and that means that people are very much safer. It also means that at the moment, and not a lot of people want to be Peace Constables, because you can't just go around and walk around the streets and expect people to know who you are. You need to wear a uniform. And a lot of people are a little bit frightened of wearing a uniform, going out there wearing a uniform. So, which we have, we've got uniforms here. They don't exactly have to pay for them. So what you've got then is you've got different communities. One may have a peacekeeper or peace constable, and can lend that peacekeeper or peace constable to other communities if there's problems. They can then be backed up with people who might be really good on the law side. Not every peace constable is good on the law side, but we aim to make them as good as we possibly can get them. They do a lot of work in order to get there. You also got, you might have one which is a fishing village, and therefore they can source food from their local fishing people. And then we've got others that might have, we've got one who has a source of food, but that person who has is a source of food also has a lot of farmers that he's in contact with. So again, you can spread your contacts purely and simply by saying, right, okay, if we're working together, all the assemblies are working together, not isolated, and they become a lot stronger. The other thing is we've got, okay, it's a big thing at the moment, which is council tax. And if any one of us actually paid council tax, we would be fraudulent. And we can't commit under natural law, which is what we operate, we can't commit fraud. So unless they can actually prove to us that they're not fraudulent, and we have put in rebuttals, forcing them to answer, and they've refused. Okay, they don't bother us. You can stop paying council tax, and they don't bother us. But they refuse to answer you as well. So that again comes with, if you've got a lot of the people and a lot of assemblies and they're all working together on it, they can share all this information. The reason that we got all our letters right was because we had so many people sharing what they had written. By the time we seemed to, once we got the correct formula for the letters to go out, we all used the same then. So numbers, it's spreading the word, getting the numbers in, but not taking over.
Okay, so if I've got this right, each assembly, and or we could say each group, sets its priorities of things they might like to tackle it for themselves. Because the aim, if we're creating a parallel society, is to be independent of mainstream society. So if that aim is independence, then each group that wants that independence starts by thinking about priorities. What is the skill set that we have between us to start something, to move towards being independent? And as in the process of doing that, we join up with other groups that are part of assemblies and see what they're doing and share what we're doing. And so the more of us there are, the more groups there are, or units, we might say units, the more units there are, all exchanging ideas and information, the faster the process becomes by which independence from the mainstream is acquired. Is that correct?
That's it.
Good. Okay. And that's why it's important that each unit works within its skill set and expands its skill set, but equally works with neighboring units so that everybody is growing and developing at a good rate.
Yep.
Okay, good. And as part of that, we have a different skill set. So you're talking about having people who are peacekeepers and who know law in order to help where there are problems. Are we talking about problems that arise within the communities or problems that might arise between individuals in the community and the mainstream?
Good point. We've never had a problem within the community itself. I've never had a dispute yet in all this time. But yes, the pressure is actually coming from outside of the communities at the moment. People need to know what their rights are. They're not doing anything wrong, but we have people that want to force their ways onto our people, and they can't do that. So we need people to stand up to them. The other thing, of course, is what we have at the moment is that the amount of naturopaths, dentists, dental technicians, pharmacists, GPs. We have a complete national health service down here in Cornwall. There's no one that needs to go without a national health service. And we thought that was most important to start with. And we've worked long and hard to do that. Now we have to control it because some of these people may lose their jobs if people found out, that they were helping the community assemblies. So although they will be members of the community assemblies, so that I've got contact people, everybody has to contact through me. But that's starting to change as well. There's a quiet revolution going on here, and people's opinions are starting to change. And one dentist who joined us recently said, "Why should I bother? Just put my name up there." But at the moment, I don't want to do any harm, just in case.
So how are people, so when people are joining the assemblies and they're contributing their skills and their time, are they still being paid in the usual way? How does it work?
We can't go without money just yet. we have to do donations. We've got a donations page up on there, and a lot of people, bless them, send us subscriptions, monthly subscriptions, and we use that to train peacekeepers. We use that for if we've got to go to attend a court session, things like this, because you know, I'm a pensioner. I have to live on my pension. I can't keep jumping into my car and traveling to Scotland, which I have to do. So I do have to get money from somewhere to pay for that. We've also got a fund, which is if people can't afford, because it's all private, if people can't afford to pay for a treatment, we do have a fund that they can tap into. So that has to be paid for as well. That comes out of the donations. The training of the peacekeepers comes out of the donations. I wish some of it will come out of the donations for me, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get that for any time soon. and certain people up there have actually told me to stay away from the money, so I've got to sit here and operate with what I've got. But that's I don't think there's any loss there. We don't have enough to actually run the whole organisation. Apart from we have people within the organisations that dig deep into their own pockets and lay out each month. But hopefully, the idea behind it was that let's say, you know, you're a parent, you're having to work full time, you haven't got time to attend meetings and things like this, but you want to be part of it. Well, they could contribute a few pounds a month, and that would help pay for the rest of the stuff that's going on. So people can use their contributions as being part of the community assemblies. There's no problems. I can't see any problems with that. We've got a lot of people that are spending a lot of time. Some people that are working full time and working with us full time as well. I don't know whether they're getting any time for sleep, but it's certainly, you know, there's a lot of very dedicated people here, and all my hat off to all of them that are doing this, because the energy that they put into, not forgetting yourself, of course.
Well, it's a pleasure to be able to talk to everyone and to learn so much from so many wonderful people. So if we look at the different things on offer, then you've got the peacekeepers, who are let's say an interface that's helping us or helping the communities when they rub up against the outside world wanting to curtail, intrude, or disrupt. There are it seems there's a huge network of people helping on health matters. Mm-hmm. But I know that a very important part of this is the spiritual side as well. So tell us about that.
Okay, we would have to go into frequencies for the moment. I'll try and keep it as non-woohoo as I possibly can. All thoughts, here go the hands again. All actions, all words have a frequency. So when you speak something, let's say, for instance, we use the word quiet revolution. We use the words together, quiet revolution. What sort of frequency it has? Effectiveness, it has around about 98% effective as a phrase. So it's a phrase that we can use. Now those are words, but people's own thoughts are transmitting frequencies. So we use all of that to try to bring people together, the Aborigines actually call us the way showers. That's our Aboriginal name. And so we're, like, if you like, beacons of light, so that whenever we go anywhere, the meditation last night was particularly powerful. People were thinking about where they wanted to be, where they wanted their life to be. And that's what the spiritual people do within the community assemblies. We have meditations and so on. I am a bad example of that because, yeah, I was. I question everything. I'm an engineer. If I can't touch it, feel it, do something with it, throw it into the air, it's no good to me. I don't want, there go the hands again. I'm going to sit back on them a minute. So spiritual wise, I wasn't very good, but somehow they actually managed to give me something to do within that, which was frequencies, and I can walk past a person and pick up their frequencies very, very quickly. So although I use the rods, which are always behind me, it's a sort of backup, and I don't, I can just tell what people's frequencies are. And people's frequencies sometimes go up and down, but their spiritual frequencies always remain the same. And if I find somebody that's, because there's a lower limit, there's an upper limit that you can go to without actually taking any action. Now, if I test somebody and I know that their frequency has reached a certain level, and then they say, I'd like to join your organization and be able to do something, and almost within seconds, you feel their frequencies going up like that. They absolutely soar, and it can go so high, and they're sitting there shivering, having made that decision. I'm sitting there shivering, like my feet are put into a plug socket, and it's wonderful to have that happen. And when we came onto this earth, we all started with the same abilities. These aren't high frequency, there's just people that have taken a certain path, that's all. And that spiritual side of it is very, very important to us because it enables us to do things.
So this is about being able to hold to perhaps a higher perspective, a higher standard. And what makes it easier to do that is to understand our emotional natures and learn how to not get stuck in anger and fear, because this drags us down and imprisons us in unhappiness and contributes to the lower aims of lower vibrations inadvertently, but it does. So it's important that we remember the natural law principles that are the bedrock of the assemblies, which are about not doing any harm, not causing any loss. And help me out, John, what's the third one?
Do no harm, cause no loss, commit no fraud. And the third one is actually keep the peace, because every person is empowered to keep the peace.
That's it. So essentially, if you are determined to do no harm, the others follow naturally.
Yeah.
But if we are aiming in that direction, then part of that is to, as much as possible, deal with those emotions. And by the way, as a therapist myself, I would never suggest that you suppress the emotions. Acknowledge them, understand them, have compassion for yourself when you're feeling them. That's different to feeling sorry for yourself. Have compassion, understand why you're feeling them, and then let them go as much as possible. And that's a process. It's a hard process, but it is a process. And it's something, it's one of the things that I do all the time, is help people through that process, because we all have trauma in our lives, big trauma, little trauma, but it's always there for all of us. It's part of life. And we need to understand our reactions to things, so that we are able to continue to act on our higher principles. So this is an important part of the work that we are all here to do. So John, here you are, 3 years on from beginning. Things are looking up, they're flourishing. What is it that you would like to see happening before the year is out?
The people have changed, and I think that's going to happen because people's attitudes have changed. I'm getting people coming to me constantly now and saying, right, can you take me through this process? Can you take me through that process? We are seeing now a change in the way things are happening, and I want to see that fortified by the end of the year, in that we have some very, very talented people in what we call now the core team. And the core team isn't necessarily community assemblies, because the community assemblies work with other organizations as well. If everything is compatible, we work with them. And so they supply core members as well. So we have this reservoir of talent that is in the core team. And that I would like to see, and I think it will happen. I would like to see them working of their own volition from now on in, so that what I often get is, sorry, John, can I just ask you, can I do this? I'm saying, why are you asking me? Do it. Follow your own heart. Don't follow mine. And I'm seeing that more and more now. And once that's solidified, then we've got a team of people, not a group of people, a team that are functioning together with one aim in mind, which is to create a new world for us all. And once we've created that, we'll be on our way.
Well, I think that vision is a good point on which to end this first conversation for our wonderful new channel, Assemblies of the World. So thank you very much, John, for, well, making everything so clear. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. And here's the next one.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for all that you are doing and contributing. And I look forward to speaking to many more of you. Goodbye.